Okay.
Give us your thoughts on Warzone 2 and ranked potentially coming.
Most people just want to get on, play a couple games, and get as late game as they can. Maybe pick up a few kills. And Caldera doesn't suit for that at all. And I think a ranked mode would be good. It's like it's an incentive to grind, and then you've got your ranked mode with the cracked out SBMM, and then you can relax in pub. If you just took a little bit of SBMM away, one me in a lobby isn't going to change it that much.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of the Bot Lobby Podcast. I'm Grandmaster Gojj, as per usual, joined by the wonderful Katie Bedford. And well, we've started a trend. We're bringing on some of Warzone's finest as our guests throughout each of these episodes. And today we have quite literally the finest man in the scene. Fifakill himself is joining us, and really excited to have a long conversation with him about a number of different things, from the state of Warzone to his come up through Verdansk and into Caldera and recent success in Caldera, and then of course the state of competitive Warzone, talking about tournaments. So without further ado, Katie, let's bring on the man of the hour.
Dude, I'm Warzone's finest. Nice.
How are you doing? Welcome.
Hi, I'm good. I mean, I just found out I'm Warzone's finest, so I'm living good right now.
Man, to be fair, we can go back and broadcast. I'm always putting you in my top 3.
Let's go. I'll take it.
Like,
oh man, I think Gojj was putting me in like looks finest though. Like, I don't know.
Dude, it's just all of the above. Look, Katie and I were talking about it. We love this podcast. We love what we're doing with all of this, being able to interview people like yourself. But we also want to do some ancillary content. We're gonna start rating people, like doing tier lists based on looks, based on backgrounds, we're gonna do some crazy
I can't
stuff.
wait for the backgrounds. That's gonna be incredible. Fief, look, you might take a hit on that one, but
listen,
I'm
listen. Here's my thing though. Like it's not like the most bougie, but it's the most homely, like
Sure.
a warm shed, like everyone can relate,
Gojj, I just realized, I mean, his light up, but you guys have the same race stripes on your walls. And in the same color scheme.
Let's be very clear, and we're gonna go off the rails on this. This was the house we bought. There was an infant in here with a cradle. There were big Titans fans, which is an NFL team, blue and red. That's what the stripes are for. I haven't repainted it. But
I mean,
no.
blue and red, that's on my colors,
Yeah,
so.
exactly. So we're matching it to at least some degree. But we'll talk about backgrounds later. Fief, I want to jump straight into the action. Now, we haven't done this before, but we're gonna do it with you. This is going to be a little rapid fire intro question. You don't have to actually answer them quickly, but just a short little phrase, maybe 1 to 2 word answer, or a small sentence if you need to. Katie, you and I can kind of go back and forth on this. So I'll start. This is the hot topic question. Are you ready?
Yep.
Who is your current favorite duo?
Oof. Mutex.
Ooh, okay. I like it.
I like it a lot.
I will say, not to go off script here, but I will say I did see LoFwo kill, LoFwo plus the Fifakill themselves just won a tournament, yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah. We were, oh my god, we were fine. I mean, not to brag, I was top fragger, but...
Sure. All right.
Wait. The duo question, is that like fair, that's just like tournaments, me and Charles, we're gonna try it out, There's one coming up, little teaser that we're gonna run it back.
Yeah, I'm here for that. That'll be we'll talk more about that in a moment. But all right, Katie, go.
All right, most memorable competitive win.
Tim the Tatman. Easy.
Yeah.
33K each, big bag.
I like it.
Big bag.
Yeah, I was gonna say whether it was like the most memorable tournament or just how much money you won, that's gotta be good to top.
I mean, dude, that was ridiculous, bro. That was unreal. Like, just numbers in the stream, the money you win, like the feeling. Oh, it was unreal, bro. The second day, I think I drank 5 Red Bulls.
You're sitting there shaking.
Nah, bro. Like, with that, we finished, and I put my hand out. It was like fully shaking, bro. I was like, oh my god, I'm cracked right now.
That's amazing. Okay, can be the same answer, but doesn't have to be. What's your favorite streaming moment in general?
World Series of Warzone solo. That was crazy. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch.
Right at the end, bro. Like, oh man, there was like 18K people in my stream. Like, that was the most I've ever had. And like, there was a moment I went down in front of like 30 of the best players in the world. I'm just self-resing in the middle of the open. Chaos just everywhere. C4's raining down. There's just me self-resing, and I somehow got out. I was like, yeah, that was nuts.
Sometimes you gotta be a ninja. All right. Worst competitive moment.
It's got to be one of my many pancakes. I splat a lot.
Fair enough.
You can pick any tournament, there'll be one.
There'll be one. Hey, everybody does it at least at some point. Who is your least favorite duo to play against? So if you were like, I really don't want to match up against these guys, we'll just say for 2v2s.
I mean, I'm sure everyone says pretty similar things. Tommy and Almond are just my kryptonite, bro. Like, Aiden and Rated was so good, but we never really had a problem with them. But Tommy and Almond, oof.
That is exactly the almost word for word verbatim what JoeWo said last week.
Yep, there you go.
Right. Who do you believe, FIFA, is your competitive arch nemesis?
I don't. Bread.
He's your competitive arch nemesis. Like, if we were making a movie on Fifakill, right? And you obviously Leonardo DiCaprio,
has a bucket hat.
he was playing your bucket hat villain.
The villain has many bucket hats. Nah. Like, the amount of times that, like, even I mean, technically, Iceman Isaac coming out of that plane, killing me in the optic thing, lost me 15k. But like, you know, it was still Bread. There was a time like the week before that, or like a couple of weeks before that, he was like behind us, like killing us off the roof. We ended up coming second, but if he didn't kill us, we would have won. So we lost money to him there. And then when he's camping that tower in the rebirth tournament with the sniper, like, this guy's Bread's unbearable.
Yeah,
that's why I'm glad I'm on his team.
Yeah, so it's like if you can't win more money without him, you're just join him. Just have him on your team, so at least he's not costing you a ton of money.
It's just like Mouse and Key, like, they can just be so far away and still be in the fight. You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's ridiculous. Like, it's so frustrating to play against. Like, it's kind of my play style, but without, I obviously have a controller. But yeah, it's very annoying. That's
super interesting. All right, last one. Favorite meta of all time in Warzone?
I really like the auto when that was meta, but maybe like MG82 nail gun. It was meta for like 3 days.
Really? The nail gun?
Nah. See, like, I just remember I won a massive tournament with it, and I was just having the time of my life, bro. That thing is unreal.
Yeah, I mean, hey, whatever works. I love that answer. That was not what I was expecting. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you kind of answering all those questions. This is a fun way to start the podcast. But I want to, you know, today we're really kind of just focusing on you and your story, and obviously, like, you know, I keep track of Warzone earnings, and you've won a ton of money in Warzone over the life cycle of the entire game. I would argue Caldera has had even more success recently in terms of just raw number of events that you've won, and we'll get there. But let's go back to the story of the beginning of Fifakill. I know a lot of people don't know the whole story. I know bits and pieces of it, but you don't have to go through this long monologue. But kind of give me like where did you start? What got you into Warzone? And then what do you think was your big kind of like projection moment into maybe the forefront of the stage? Because I remember back when you were streaming to like 40-50 people way long ago. But so give us a little bit of the history of yourself.
So I was a pub stomper in COD, just regular pubs in Call of Duty, like literally forever. I used to grind leaderboards and try and be like highest score in the world for like kill confirmed or whatever. That's kind of what got me into like COD. And then, you know, you climb leaderboards, that gets competitive and it makes you want to compete. And then like pub stomping, going for like trying to have the world record, and that everyone's always trying to break that. That was competitive. And then when Warzone came out, I was like, oh, well, this is pretty much COD. I enjoyed Fortnite, like battle royales before it, so I was like, all right, gonna give it a go. And then I started getting pretty good. And then people were like, oh, you should try playing tournaments. I was like, all right, sure, man. And this guy in my chat was like, oh, we'll play one. And then we played like a bot race, and we got rolled. But like, I'd never met these guys before, and I didn't really know what a tournament was or like anything like that. It's kind of my first experience. And then the week after that, I signed up to a 2v2, my first ever 2v2. And I was playing with I think his name was Gemini or something. And yeah, so we played that, and I won my first ever one. And this was like around the time Jukeyz and Wars blew up, like right at the beginning, like Warzone Wednesdays, and we ended up getting them in the semi-finals, which was just crazy because it's like I'd never met these guys at this point. I was like watching them every day, seeing them pop off, and I was like, oh, here we go. And Wars dropped a 30 map one, which was like no one dropped 30s back then. And I was like, yeah, this is gonna be rough. And then the next map, I dropped a 30, and I was like, oh damn,
we're here.
Here we go. I was like shaking, and then we won. And I was like, no way. And then they both hosted me, and that was crazy. And then, you know, at that point, people knew who I was. And then after that, I was like, all right, I like these tournaments. This is good. We can do this.
Yeah. And
started rolling with it. Yeah.
You just grinded through it. That's awesome.
So do you, kind of coming from that experience, do you feel like the European scene within Warzone is a fairly, at least the competitive side of it, a tight-knit community?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I think like we all struggle opportunity-wise. That's definitely a thing. So early, like I said, winning that tournament, even after that for a while, like I was winning all the small Twitter ones, like mainlands and all of them back in the days, just kind of like racking up the earnings through like the smaller tournaments. But I never got into the big 100Ks that were popping off like every week, even though I felt like I was good enough. I know it's just so hard to get an invite because people, the first thing they think, like, if you're not someone everyone knows, the first thing they think is, oh, this guy's going to be on 100 ping. Like, why would we put ourselves at a disadvantage? And then you have tournaments that are NA only already, and it's just like, for someone who's not already in with everyone from Europe to try and get into a tournament is kind of tough. So I feel like it comes down to like people like me, people like Wars, who are kind of already getting these invites to try and bring them in. And I think for the most part, like we do a good job of that. Like there's people now, like European guys that have been popping off and won a lot of tournaments, like Zamza, Prod, Len. You know what I mean? Like I think it's kind of up to us to like help each other because no one else is doing it for us, you know? Especially since Vic left, things got a lot tougher for like EU Warzone for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that for a moment because we did have a chance to have Wars on, and he was saying a lot of the same things, and he mentioned this Vikkstar like absence, right? Like, talk to me a little bit about your experience playing with Vikkstar early in the game when you had a chance to, and then what him leaving really did for the EU scene or did against it.
I've watched the Sidemen for like my whole life, so jumping in with Vic for the first time, I was like shaking, bro. Oh my god, like no way, it's him. After that, we ended up playing like multiple times. We were playing all the time. But yeah, I mean, he kind of put everyone on. Like, he got Wars in the Warzone Wednesdays, and then from that, Wars kind of got a bunch of people involved. He was always, and like half my viewers now, if I'm like, oh, how did you guys find me? Oh, I used to love watching you and Vic play. Like, you know, he kind of put a lot of us on in that way. And the other thing was like, because he was so big, I don't know, people just didn't really. They wouldn't argue with him, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like if Vic came into your game chat and said, hey, do you mind if I host this map? Most people are going to be like, yeah, sure. whereas if I went in there, maybe like everyone would be like, no.
Yeah.
So, and there's like, even like tournament rules, it was like NA only host, but Vic would be like, hey, I'm playing, I wanna host. And they're like, okay, sure. So, but it's like after Vic left, it became very different. It was like, nope, you're never hosting. You're not even gonna be able to play some of them. So that was definitely an experience for sure. I've kind of gotten used to it. I've kind of gotten used to it now, but yeah, I mean, it definitely changed for sure.
Yeah, that's so interesting, Katie, because like we were talking to Wars and he was saying a lot of the same things, and we obviously knew there was like this big absence once Vic left where the EU scene wasn't getting as many invites, but I didn't really know how much weight he was able to sling around with his like view counts and stuff like that. But it makes sense. Like if you go to a tournament host and you're the biggest streamer competing, you're like, no, I'm gonna host some maps so it's a fair ball game. They're gonna say yes. Like that's kind of usually how it works. And we've talked about it on the podcast a ton of this like player market that we're currently in the Warzone tourney scene, where it's like, hey, players are kind of dictating what goes because there's so many events that they can pick and choose whatever they'd like.
Well, I mean, the thing was, it was like a lot of the like tournament rules and like who gets to play and what happens is like decided kind of by the sponsors, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like with Vic at the time when he was streaming, he would have like 20,000, 30,000 viewers, right? Which was like half of the whole tournament's views. So they would cater to him. But when he left and like, you know, none of us had really blown up or whatever, or like gained any decent viewership, it was kind of like, why would they tend to us when there was only 3 of us competing and between us we had like 3% of the viewers?
Yeah.
So it made no sense for them to like cater to us, which sucked. But that just makes it even harder for new people to get in and try and grow and pop off because they can't even like get the foot in the door. So I mean, I got lucky because I got dragged in by a lot of other people. Like I play with a lot of the NA guys and they bring me in and say like, oh, this guy's good. And then I got a chance to, you know, and then like I played with Liam for a long time. We won a lot. We kind of just got over the NA host stuff. Like we won some of the biggest tournaments on bad ping. And it's like, you just force yourself in.
Yeah.
we were kind of already in some of the tournaments and getting invites because of, you know, Vic from the start. So after that, you know, now it's kind of us to take Vic's role and help other people out. But yeah, when he left, it was a transition.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I wonder, I love that you brought up Jukeyz because that's actually what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. How did the Fifa Jukeyz combo come about? Had you guys known each other previously? How'd you meet? How did you guys start singing up and playing together so much?
Well, I was playing with Wars a lot, all the time, when Liam was with like Delio and Len. And then we got against each other in a bunch of the Twitter tournaments and I was just beating him a lot. and then he was just like, he always says Delio was like, bro, if you want to win, you gotta play with this guy, even though they were a team at the time. So he stopped playing with them and was like, oh, we should run it together. And I was still with Wars, and I was like, I don't know, I'm enjoying playing with Wars. Me and Wars were actually popping off as well. But then eventually we were like, all right, we'll try it, give it a go. And then we won like every big 2v2 for like a month straight and just popped off. And I was like, all right, well, it's a winning formula, we'll just stick with it.
Yeah, no, it was fun to watch. I know you guys have kind of not split up at all, but decided to play with other people more now, and there's a lot more flexibility with that because you're both, larger, have a lot of tournament wins under your belt, so it makes sense. And it was fun to watch you guys compete together. What was the overall? Was it, hey, this is a winning formula, let's continue this, or was it the chemistry was on point, the vibes were always on point, or was there a bit more contention there than maybe you guys always let on?
The vibes are not always there. He's a lot more serious. He's a lot more serious than I am. I like a good laugh. I like hey, slam my butt, bro. He's not about that life.
Sure.
So yeah. So it was just kind of a case of like, we're just so good. And then it was like, when we were winning, it would just feel good. Like even if we weren't like having the laugh, it was like the win would come through at the end, and then you're just like, "Ah, damn, that was sick, good win." And it was like it was always nice in that way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Go ahead.
When you're pairing with someone, testing out new duos or playing with people that you play with more frequently, what's the most important thing to you in those duo pairings? Is it the vibes? Is it just the gun skill to win?
It's the vibes. 100%. If I'm having a laugh, I'm gonna play so much better. And like, I don't know, if you're already kind of like down, like when you lose, like it hurts enough when you lose. So to stay kind of like bad vibes after that, it makes it a lot harder to get over a loss and just get straight back into the next one. Whereas if you're like laughing and joking, it's like, all right, whatever, like next time, whatever. I think you play better when you're good vibes anyway, because like there's no pressure, right? If you're just having a laugh with your teammate, like, there's no pressure on either of you to perform against the other one. It's like whatever, it's just like you're just having a good time. And I think for me, like my stream's the most important thing for me, over even like more important than tournaments. I've kind of been going down that road recently, and it's like my viewers don't like when I'm like not talking to them, not having a laugh. Like everyone likes it when I'm having a laugh. That's just like, I like being silly, funny, having a good time. So I need whoever I'm playing with to just be on the same energy, so that the tournaments, even if they don't go that well, we're still having a good time. Like no one's tuning in to watch me be grumpy and then lose. So no one wants that. No one wants that.
Not that we've never ever seen FIFA at 6 a.m. his time, just losing composure. That's something I want to talk about, right? Because you said it, when you have the delays on, when you're streaming in these tournaments, not only does it make it hard, if not impossible, to even engage with your chat, but when you're in the tournament, sometimes things don't go your way. I have cast a number of times when you've been in grand finals and you don't always win them. So how do you, as an EU player, you're up so late doing these super long tournaments, have you kind of built up like a stamina for this that maybe some of the NA players don't have to have?
I mean, it doesn't get better ever. I mean, my tactic lately has just been like, any day I know there's going to be a late tournament, I'll sleep late. Like I'll sleep late into the day, and then after that you're just chugging caffeine. Like it's pure just chemicals keeping you awake. It's tough. And like, I don't know, it definitely, when you lose at that point, you definitely feel in the back of your head, you're like, damn, if we were if this was only 10 o'clock, like the guys we're playing against, they would have been smoked. So many times, like we've smoked people in the winners bracket and then waited 4 hours for the grand final and then lost because, what I mean? Like it gets later and they're like, it's just, we're getting more tired and they're getting more momentum and cracked. And it's like that plus the ping difference. It definitely gets unfair towards the end. So, but then I mean, it just makes it even more sweet when you win one. Because it's like, damn, all of that going against us and we still beat you.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Well, I want to carry that trend forward too and talk about the EU, quote unquote disadvantage that is out there. Obviously, there's only a few of you that have been able to make it at a super high level, and there's many reasons for that, like we've already mentioned. But one of the other things that always comes up in these 2v2s is the later they go, oftentimes most of the tournament hosts or the players say, hey, you cannot host anymore at all because you're not able to fill lobbies all the way up because, we've seen a player decrease, but also it's 4 a.m. in the morning. So talk to me a little bit about that conversation, because I know there's multiple different viewpoints that you could have. I'd be curious to know where you're at with that. I know you're comfortable playing on NA ping, but like, what would be your preference if you could do whatever you wanted?
I mean, there's no good way of doing it. Like at the end of the day, like it's not fair on anyone to play in a 60-person lobby. Like that's just chalked. It actually ends up getting worse as well because I didn't have streamer mode until recently. I just got it, but if you're playing an EU lobby at like 4 a.m. and there's 60 people, they're all grinders, and every single person that kills me or Jukeyz or Wars in an English server knows exactly who we are, bro. They're pulling up the stream, and they're either sending us or they're sending the other team. Like, someone's gonna be hard done by. So I mean, there's no perfect way to do it. Like, it just sucks. It is what it is. I think the only really way to fix it is to just make the tournament start earlier, you know, like make the NA guys get up a little bit earlier. Like, I know, oh my god,
tall task. That's a real difficult
like,
task.
They have to start before 1 p.m. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know, it's a tall ask, but yeah, that and less stalling and just arguing about cheaters and stuff. Like, some of these brackets get held up by hour-long arguments about one cheater. Like, have an admin just go, all right, the guy's not cheating, the guy is cheating, move on. And then just like try and hurry things along, because the amount of times that there's just been stalling for hours, and it's just getting later and later and later. And we're sitting there just thinking, yep, I know exactly how this is going to end.
Yeah,
we're not hosting, and we're not going to like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, less stalling, earlier starts would be ideal, but yeah, it's not really an ideal way of doing it, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think looking back, like one of the only quote unquote fixes is just, hey, yeah, I started earlier or run a 2-day tournament, right? I saw some people in chat saying that
too.
too.
My god, 2-day tournaments are unbelievable. Yeah, I think there was only one. It was the Tim the Tatman one.
Yeah, talk to me about the Tim the Tatman one. I mean, obviously it was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, competitive success that you've had. It was the thing that you highlighted in our kind of rapid fire questions at the beginning. Talk to me about that event. Yeah,
no, Tim the Tatman tournament was unbelievable. Like, the best, I think it was one of the best 2v2s, if not the best one I've played, because I mean, high prize pool already gets everyone like so interested, but having it over 2 days was just so meta, because casters don't want to sit there and cast for 12 hours straight. Players don't want to play for 12 hours straight. Viewers don't even want to watch for 12 hours straight. Like, people got stuff to do, bro. Like,
that is my favorite Fifa, by the way. When I'll have oftentimes it's EU viewers will come in and be like, I went to bed and woke up and this is still going on a whole 8 hours.
I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, people want to watch the tournaments, right? Like, people want to cheer on. They don't even get to watch the final half the time. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And then people are tired and grumpy. And I think more arguments come out of it. Like, I don't know. I think the whole quality of a tournament towards the end, if it does go that late, just goes down. I think 2 days, I mean, it creates more content, right? Like, people get to play the tournaments for longer. No one can complain there. So more content, less tired, less problems. I think like lobbies change throughout the day too. Like, as it gets later, the lobbies get sweatier. I think stream snipers increase in the night. I think sweaty lobbies increase in the night. Like, I don't know. I just think having a 2-day tournament just makes so much more sense in every way.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my hot take.
Gojj and I talk about all the time. We talk about that specifically when we're casting you guys, is watching the slay factor and how it changes throughout the day, because those lobbies do get more difficult. We'll see you come in, or a Super Evan comes in and drops 49 during that JoeWo tournament. And I think at one point, maybe Almond got closer in the middle of the day, but toward the end, absolutely no shot. No one's getting close to those kind of numbers.
I mean, I remember when we were winning, me and Liam were winning some of the 2v2s, bro. Our average kills would be like half of Biffle and Evans, because they're on West Coast lobbies. Yep. Like, we'd win the tournament with half the amount of kills they had, because in our lobbies we were winning with like 10 kills. Whereas their lobbies were going like 100 kill games every game. And it was just, like, in our lobbies, you're fighting for your lives, bro. Like, god damn. It's like, oh, let's stick together, see if we can wipe this team. Oh, we're dead.
Yeah.
Whereas in some of the like West Coast NA lobbies, it's like, it's not the problem isn't finding people, it's finding more people. You know, it's like, you don't run away from anyone. It's like, all right, we need to split up and find as many teams as we can. In EU, it's like, all right, we need to hide and just hope no one finds us.
Yeah. hold hands, play together, play your trades, because those 1v4s are going to be so difficult. That is ridiculous. That's crazy. Well, you know, we talked a little bit about the EU host. We'll come back to that in a second, because I wanted to jump forward to this other question Katie and I were talking about. Obviously, Katie being a part of this. Talk to me about the Baka Bros LAN. I know this was a huge event. You know, a lot of people came from all over to attend. What do you think about the LAN? What do you think about competing against people on LAN? You know, any thoughts on maybe how LAN should be run better in the future? I mean, kind of give me your whole thoughts on that Baka Bros event.
Oh, it was sick. It was so sick. I mean, me and everyone in person already was just like, that was sick. Because it's like, you play with these people all the time and then you meet them. And it's like, wow. I mean, for me, it was kind of like a weird one, because it was like, I kind of got into it after everyone else. I was one of the last people to get into these tournaments and start like playing well. So it was like I'd watched everyone for a year before I really had a chance to actually play with them. So I was like seeing some of the people in person. I was like, oh damn, that's that's crazy. And then we all hung out, which was a good time. And then the tournament was good itself. I'd never actually played at a LAN before, so I think adjusting to that hold hands, the setup's not being ideal. That was definitely tough. So as far as that, but yeah, no, the whole event was sick. I think they did a really good job. Yeah, the setups was definitely tough to play on. Like I'm used to, at home, the best of the best, and you get there, and obviously every LAN's got their limitations, like funding wise and stuff. And it was like I went from playing like 27-inch 1440 to 24-inch 1080, and I was like, I felt like I was blind. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I know a lot of people had that same sentiment, and I know unfortunately we were both there, and we had a moment we could have actually said hi to each other, but we both had they look really busy right now. Oh, I'm not going to go bother them. I'm still so sad about that, but I'm sure there will be more LANs, and Gojj will be there this time with us. But I want to harken back to something that you mentioned before, which was you get in these long debates in these tournaments about frustrations or cheaters or not or whatever. When you met people in person, did you remember any of those moments of like, oh, like a week ago, I really got into it with this guy about a hacker
no, there was one. I remember I was talking to someone about it was Bobby Pop. So I won a bot race, and there was the whole clip of FIFA won, and there was this whole big thing of like I won because of a bot lobby, blah blah blah, whatever. And it was very much like him leading the frustration straight at me. Yeah, we were kind of having like a little face off, and our communities are kind of very opposed to each other for a long time. And I hadn't spoken to him since that happened, right? So I was like, I don't know, are we still on bad terms? Like, and then when he got there, like we both saw each other, and we just straight away just walked over each other like, hey, what's up, man? And like he met my dad, and we like really close straight away. And ever since then, like he's offered me to go and like stay with him. Like we're really, really cool now. He's good friends with my dad. Like I love Bobby. So I mean, it was kind of like, oh my God, this could be really awkward, but it turned out it was fine.
Yeah, it seemed like there was certainly some of that from what we could tell from, I mean, Katie had a bit more insight. She was actually there, but that'll always be the case. There's always beef. And look,
there was some tension.
For podcasters like ourselves / casters, of course, any drama is good drama. Like we're here for it. So stir the pot, my friend. Anytime you're on the timeline, start stirring the pot, whether it's your dad stirring the pot or other people stirring the pot.
Dude, I hate drama and like arguing with anyone, to be honest. Like that's my take. I hate that. Like usually like I'll just take the L and just so I don't have to argue. Lately I haven't been doing it as much because everyone in my chat's like, nah, screw that, argue with them. And I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. But like, nah, I don't really have drama with anyone. I just don't care enough.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I'm just trying to play a video game, have some fun, talk to my chat. Like I just don't care enough to have actual beef with anyone.
No beef with your pops right now. He's been
I mean, yeah, he is acting up on the timeline. Nah, I already told him earlier he's grounded. No phone for a week for that man. He's bugging.
Oh my gosh! If you guys want to know what we're talking about, you just go find Twitter. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. No, I think that's a really good mentality though. There's always been, as I've kind of come up in the casting scene and been doing a lot more Warzone events, and I've watched you kind of grow. I mean, I remember I've been friends with Doug, Modern Warzone, for a long time, and a while back, Doug was saying FIFA's the best there is, and this is before even some of your big tournament wins, and it's been cool to see that come up. But the thing that I have noticed throughout all of these events, obviously there are exceptions to those days when it's just egregious, but you're a class act when it comes to these tournaments. Every single time you're willing to be like, look, I understand where you're coming from, let's just reset it, let's go. Or if it's something egregious, you do have those arguments, but you're not yelling and screaming and throwing a temper tantrum, which I really appreciate, because not everybody
I try and keep it like I try and keep like a level head. Like I usually, my chat give me a lot of feedback. Like, I see you kind of get the vibe what everyone's thinking. It's like, I try not to think of it from just my point of view, right? Like, it's like, if I was them, would I want this reset? And if in my head, like, I know I try and keep it very real. So in my head, I'm like, nah, if this was the other way around, I'd definitely like, nah. So then I'm like, okay, fine, we won't, like, whatever. It's like you kind of take a step back and you're like, all right, this would benefit me, but it's definitely not right.
Yeah.
The thing with me is like, there's literally, the proof is in the pudding, bro. There's so many times where I've like screwed myself over to like not make someone else feel hard done by. And the only thing that annoys me now is like I'll ask for a reset, and the other people will be like, "Oh, he just wants it because it's gonna benefit him," or the chat will say that, and I'm like, bro, if you'd seen the amount of money I'd lost because I let people have resets, maybe even when they shouldn't have, like, you don't even come at me with that.
Yep, 100%.
I think the best thing to do now is just, I don't think the players should, even if you're best friends, the players should never ever have a choice. It's just straight to the admin every time.
That's a good take.
Because like, bro, even friends, like, that you think like, oh, we're all friends here, and we can talk this out. When there's money on the line, ain't no one your friend. No one's your friend.
Yeah,
you're like, oh no, he'll be cool about it. You go in the game chat, you're like, yeah, so reset up 5. They're like, we're gonna talk to the admin. You're like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
Huh? And it's like, yeah, there's definitely no friends in these tournaments.
Yeah,
and it's like it's all fair enough. Like, that's just how it is. It is what it is. But I think just even letting the people talk to each other, there's so many arguments. Like, even recently, there's been so many, and it's like every issue should just go straight to an admin so that there's no like personal feelings involved. Like, oh wow, you wanted the reset for this, you're trying to screw me over, I thought we were cool, blah blah blah. Because someone always ends up getting screwed in any sort of like any sort of problem. Someone always gets a bad end of it. And I think just putting that to someone that no one knows, who isn't involved, who doesn't have, viewers that are gonna get involved in it and like all this other stuff, I think it's just so much like healthier for tournaments. Yeah, to be honest.
No, I think that's a great take. The question becomes like how informed the admin can be about the situation, hearing both sides, and then making a speedy decision, right? They can't sit there and basically moderate an argument for an hour. The facts need to be presented, clips need to be presented, and then boom, there you make your decision and move on. I really like that take. And I think that really is where the future of these tournaments should go. The problem is there's so many going on right now that because it's a player's market, players do a bit more, or able to do a bit more bossing around, rather than admins saying, hey, this is our event, this money is coming out of these sponsors' pockets, this is what we're doing, period, right? And there hasn't been
you see a lot less of that cringe stuff happening in the big ones.
Yeah,
it's mainly the Twitter tournaments where like this stuff's coming through, and I think the Twitter tournaments are actually great. I think it gives like the people that don't get as much of a chance in the bigger tournaments to actually like earn a bit of money, get their viewership up, like get practiced, so that if they do get a chance, they're ready for it. I think they're good, but yeah, I think some of them maybe aren't run that well, to be honest. And I think the biggest problem right now is that like a lot of the people that are administrating these tournaments are friends with the players, and you see like a lot of people like feeling hard done by in that way. So I think like just having someone who's just, it's hard to find someone that knows the game and is unbiased though. It's definitely difficult. You need someone that has like, it doesn't stand to gain anything from either decision, just to step in and be like, all right, that's how it is. Get it unlucky.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. No, I mean, and like first person that comes to mind for that is like, although there's been some calls that he's made that he even says maybe that wasn't the best call looking back on it, but you got to make a call, just like a referee in any traditional sports, right? Like they look back on some of their calls, they're like, I don't know if that was right now, but you got to make a call in the moment, and that's all that matters. Like Mazita is a great example of somebody that works for Boom, and like, hey, he doesn't have anything to gain by doing a call either direction. Like the only bias he could ever have is like having an event like end faster, like, you know what I mean? Like he's friends with people, but not actually tangible friends. He's not a player, he doesn't have a stream that he's trying to grow by like doing this, like those are all big conversation points for sure.
And I mean, I think like, oh sorry, go ahead, Faith.
I think it just saves everyone. Like it saves the time in the tournament, saves people arguing, like I don't know, it just makes sense, so much sense.
No, I agree, and that's something Gojj, I've said to you a lot as well, and something I think when we were doing kind of that player roundtable as well, is oftentimes those admins, yeah, I do think everything should be relegated to them. Let that third party decide. Hopefully it's an unbiased third party. A lot of times too, those admins really can get the short end of the stick from irate players. And I think sometimes viewers can kind of forget that. Mazita is also an example of kind of when those viewers have gone a little too far. But no, Fifa, I think you're 100% correct. When it comes to situations like that, it's always best have a Mazita or whoever, just let them in as quick of a process as they can to be fair to all parties to do that.
Ready? Perfect solution. Admin chat in a tournament Discord, okay? And the admin is anonymous, doesn't have a name in the Discord, no one knows who it is.
I respect it.
You don't even say anything out loud, so the viewers don't even the viewers don't even know what's happening. You just type it in there, you type your issue, bam, the other side types their point, like present your arguments, whatever, admin decision. No one can get mad at anyone because no one knows who they're getting mad at. Easy.
Hey, write it down, book it, ship it, clip it, put it on the timeline. Anonymous. I love that. That's actually a great take. I think that's a really, really good idea for the admins in order to also help their own identity and their own like people not targeting them, like you were mentioning before, Katie.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. It benefits everyone involved. No one's mad at anyone. Like no targeted hate. And like, bro, I mean, my community is great, right? But like, when you're playing tournaments, there's no saying who's in that chat, right? Like if I'm playing a 2v2 and I get towards the end, I'll have like what 7,000-8,000 viewers. Like not all of them watch me every day because that's not my average viewers. Yeah. So at least like 3,000 of the people in there coming from other places, right? So if the arguments start popping off, I have no control over those random tournament viewers. Toxicity is going everywhere, bro. And then like, God forbid someone says anything bad about me, dude. Like. Oh mate, like at that point, like if you say something directly about like the streamer, obviously that viewer is gonna be upset. Like and then like when the viewers get involved, like bro, when your chat gets filled with something, like you feel the heat, bro. Like yeah, I've had it a few times, and then no one's thinking rationally, everyone's going crazy. Like oh mate, like it's just not worth anyone opening their mouths. It's like, all right, I think that guy's cheating. Okay, I don't. All right, the admin said he is. Reset, easy.
Yep. No, I think toxic chats have been a huge point of contention as well, because it's like how much like okay, this is a good question. Then we'll move on to some more Caldera based questions. Is how much do you think the streamer influences or is in control of their general chats? With the for instance being some of these instances with these big arguments that happen and viewers spreading all over the timeline / into other people's chats and yelling and raging into the night, like how much of that do you think is a responsibility of the streamer and how much of it is completely out of their control?
Well, there's a lot of factors, right? So like obviously a streamer's chat does reflect the streamer, right? Like my chat, if you come into it when I'm not playing a tournament like regularly throughout the day, everyone's showing love to each other, like everyone's super friendly. And you know, like if someone comes in talking shit, they'll troll the person, right? Because I troll the person, you know? Like a chat definitely, because I mean, like similar people come to your chat because they like how you are, right? Like the people in my chat are kind of like me, kind of trolly, just trying to have a good time. Like they just don't care, right? They're just trying to have a good time, watch some Warzone. We're all like-minded people, right? So that, but like in a tournament, like I said, that could be anyone could be in your chat.
Yeah.
And also like everyone's kind of, it's like a sports team, you know what I mean? Like if your team loses, you feel passion towards it. You're like, oh my God. So if your streamer's getting attacked, you feel attacked because that's your community. Like I know recently someone insulted my community directly, like not me, the people in my chat. And then they were surprised when their chat was then filled up with people not being very happy about what they'd said. And I was like, all right, well, what do you think's gonna happen, buddy? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, but like, I'll try and I try and make an effort. Like, if I ever have an argument with another streamer, whether I think they're being ridiculous or not, I'll go into their chat and type like, yo, no one talk shit in here. Like, anybody who does, I'm gonna ban you in my stream, right? And that, like, I think that helps mitigate a lot of it. But like, sometimes people talk shit just for the sake of it, bro. Like, people just troll. Like half the people that have gone and talked shit to other streamers, like when we've been in an argument, I've checked their chat logs, bro. They've never even been in my stream.
Yeah,
they're just there for the fight, bro. They just they'll pick a fight with anyone, bro. And I'm like, oh God, like there's nothing you can do about that. I think day to day, a streamer is pretty much fully in control. But it's also, but like sometimes you just can't blame people. Like I've had like 3-year subs that have, you know, gone into someone else's chat and been like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you're an idiot. Like, stop. And it's like, if it's because they feel hard done by, you know what I mean? Like in the spur of the moment. And I mean, at the end of the day, like that's what the ban button's there for, you know? Like you just ban people.
Yep.
Like there's things in place like follower only mode, sub only mode, like slow chat, banning people. You know what I mean? Like I've had to deal with it, and I've never felt like a streamer in particular has been at fault for their viewers coming into my chat, right? Like it is what it is. Like sometimes you just have to, you know, deal with it. That's why you have mods and everything. And I think the most important thing is that people's viewers need to remember, like, if that shit happens, then you don't argue back with these people. You just try and flood it out with like more positivity. Like instead of talking about, oh no, screw that guy, you should be like, oh dude, Fifa, you're the best, like blah blah blah, and just like gas them up, and then just drown it out. I think that's just such an easy way of doing it.
No,
Great answer.
I couldn't agree more. That's the best, because the moment you give them that reaction, that's all they're there for, right? And then it just turns it into a feeding frenzy. So I think that is a very mature, I think, and much needed positive way to go about things. And clearly it seems to work. But okay, to reel us back in from Twitch on Twitch drama, let's talk about Caldera, the map. Let's talk about the update that just came out. We just on the last episode got JoeWo's thoughts on everything, but this new update is changed a lot of things. How do you feel about Caldera right now with the update?
I really like it, actually. I think it's sick. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like the player count thing, and I feel that like it definitely is a change of pace with the less players. But for me, like my content day to day is I like to win games. I get on in the morning, and me and Sim, we just try and win games. That's like we play for the win. We're just there to have a conversation, like have a laugh, talk to our chats. Like we don't really care, you know what I mean? We're not trying to drop 40, 50s. If we're on for one, we'll go for it. Like fair enough. But I mean, it's not like I'm dropping in every game going, I'm getting a 40, I'm getting a 40. Like that's just like if I couldn't do that, I stream 10 hours a day. I could not full send 10 hours every day. I would just die. Like I like to take it slow, win some games, talk to my chat, have a good time. So I actually like the slower pace, and like if I want to hop in and be competitive, customs tournament, easy. So the pubs, I think it's great. The balloons are obviously good. The gulag token, the redeploy, that is sick, like very, very sick. So yeah, I love how it is right now. I think it's good. I think it's really, really good. Obviously there's problems that I think they could definitely fix. Like time to kill, that STG, bro, that is busted. That thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is hitting like a truck right now. And I think big question mark too is that we look back on Caldera earnings. Obviously Tim the Tatman hardly or largely influence those numbers. I mean, you're top 5 earned in Caldera in its own right. So talk to me a little bit about the Caldera map in a general sense. Is it just, hey, I've put the time in, I've gotten better, I know how to succeed more now? Or did you think your success in Caldera is attributed to the way the map's designed plus your play style?
I mean, Caldera definitely fits my play style for sure. Definitely, because I'm kind of like the way I describe it is I'm a mouse and keyboard player on a controller. That's my play style. Like I play like back and like a little bit slower, but I'm on a control. Like it's definitely methodical for sure. But I mean, like I people have this narrative that they've created, like, oh, FIFA just popped off in Caldera, but like, bro, I didn't get into the big tournaments in Verdansk until like 6 months minimum after everyone else. And yeah, I was top 10 earned. Like I caught up so quick. Like people didn't really credit that, but like I was literally, if you cut off everyone's earnings from before the first big tournament I played, I was literally like way up there, like ahead of all these other people. Everyone's like, nah, he was better than him in Verdansk. Like, okay, well, like, I don't know. Earnings is definitely a weird thing to go by because some people don't get to play. Some people don't get to play with the teammates that they might want to. Like, there's so many things that go into it. I mean, like Caldera, right? Everyone was like, oh, this fits me perfectly, blah, blah, blah. Bro, without the Tim the Tatman tournament, like, I hadn't even won that much money because like I was playing well, but like, you know what I mean? And then you think I got 33K from that. And then the Breadman thing, if Isaac wasn't in a plane and landed on me, that would have added 15K.
Yep.
And I would have been even higher. So it's like you kind of gain and lose earnings all over the place. And there's like some weird earnings with like tournaments that were like content based. Like earnings is a very weird thing to go off. Like
yeah, no, 100%. And it's like people think of them almost as like leaderboards to grind, but then you're like, woof, you get into weird territory with that, with those content creator tournaments where you get paired up with somebody that you're like I'm not throwing any shade anywhere because as a commentator or a caster, I love those style of events. But when you have Exact, who is a prolific tournament player, being put as a content creator on events, you're like, okay, hold on, there's some weird discrepancies here. There's only so much you could do on some of those events. But you're right. I mean, looking back on Verdansk earnings added in, I mean, you're basically at $250,000 earned in Warzone. I mean, that's gotta feel good, at least at some level, though.
I mean, it definitely doesn't feel real, that's for sure. It's definitely a weird one. But yeah, no, it's cool to look at. But like, I just remember when I was first playing these tournaments, it was like, they're like, oh, earnings check, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, I overtook everyone that's in front of me. And it was like, the only people above me had played twice as many tournaments as me because I just wasn't around. And it's like, so I don't really judge anyone off of earnings because like, I don't know, it's definitely a weird one. But it is sick that we get the opportunity to make so much just playing these tournaments. It is sick. Very sick.
No, I mean, it's incredible. And so I love that you point that out because, again, it's a discussion Gojj and I have had about you take like the Super Evans and Biffles, for an example. They have X amount, but they haven't played in hardly any of the tournaments. Same with you saying what happens if FIFA is in that first 6 months of Verdansk competing in those tournaments? How do those leaderboards change? What does that mean? But going off that, I have a question for you. So do you get a sense that some players had more success on Verdansk versus Caldera or Caldera versus Verdansk? Do you feel like the differences in those maps have helped certain players more than others, whether it's play style or anything else?
I think Mouse and Key is a lot more competitive on Caldera because it's very open. Like I've said this a few times, like Verdansk, everything was like a lot of the big influential gunfights were done inside buildings. Whereas like Caldera now it's all out in the open. So for example, someone like Breadman or Huskers, they can take the same gunfight that I'm taking from a further 100 meters behind me. So they're not going to die as much, right? So their team's going to have more money because they're not dying, but they're still going to have the same kills. Like they can have someone anchoring and be just as much in the fight as the other people further up. Like, it's just like lower risk, higher reward. And like with the balloons and the amount of like verticality, everyone's flying around. It's just so much easier for a Mouse and Key player to beam someone. And like with all, like again with the hills, like if someone's head glitching a hill, that's so hard to shoot. Like if you're a controller player and you can only see a head, you're losing aim assist left, right, and center. If you're a Mouse and Key player, you're beaming them. Like it doesn't make a difference. You have no aim assist anyway. Like like they just point, click, done. Like obviously it's harder to master a Mouse and Key, right? But like the people that are really good at it, like they just have such an advantage. Like bro, just Bread being on our team, right? Like we'll be like, Bread, there's a guy on that roof, and it's like this much of the guy's head sticking out. Blued easy, and it's like, all right, now we can rotate. And it's like just in Verdansk, having a Mouse and Key player probably would have been like, you know, it would have been almost a disadvantage, right? Like because you go into a building and you're a man down.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you even look back to some of the big mouse and keyboard players in Verdansk. I mean, you think of really just Huskers and Frozone Sim. I guess
Hus is just unreal. Like that guy plays like he's a fucking he plays like he's controller player.
Well, and then he played on controller for Joe's tournament and still was a dominant player. That was a crazy event to watch.
Hus is just a demon.
He's just different. But speaking about that too, about success in Caldera, and I want to hop back to this conversation. I saw Joe was in chat, so I'll give him a little bit of credit here. But Fif, talk to me about recently pairing up Lofo Kill, the trio, for customs, because I know you like customs. You're a great IGL. I've seen you succeed at a very high level, of course, in 2v2s, but customs are some of my favorite to watch you play in. And that trio seems like kind of a new trio on the block that has a really good chance to go far.
Well, we played together 5 times, the 3 of us, and we've never come below 3rd, so not bad.
Okay.
As it goes, not bad. You know, I got like the most handsome teammate in the world, Joe. Like, I mean, as far as a focus, he's just unbelievable. Like, oh my god. But and then you got Bread, you know, long luscious hair. Like, anyway, they're both really good players as well. But yeah, I mean, we got the perfect thing going. So we got Bread, Mouse and Key. He can beam. He can play far back. We got Joe, who's like the most cracked out guy sliding around at the front. And you got me, who can kind of do both. Like, I can play in between. You know, I can back Joe in a fight, or I can stay back with Bread and we can watch over Joe. Like, I'm kind of like flexing. Like, I'm like a flex. I do a bit of both while we got Bread's anchor and Joe's pushing. It works out really nice. Like, we'll send Joe in, like send the Hound in. He's kind of bad, like,
he's
to get the ultimate knock or whatever. Yeah, then we got Bread watching over like the whole thing. Like, he's got it all mapped out. And yeah, I mean, it works out really good. Me and Bread got like the positioning knowledge from like, I think playing with Iron definitely helped me a lot. I'm sure Bread will say the same. So like positioning knowledge as far as that goes, and then Joe's just cracked. Joe's just cracked.
When are we getting matching bucket hats?
Well, I a little bit of a bad influence, but when we were in Vegas, I was like hard like convincing Bread to buy. He got a Gucci one and a Louis Vuitton one. I was like, I was egging him on for that. It's like, Bread, come on, you have to do it, you have to. And he's like, but it's a $400 bucky. And I'm like, exactly, that's badass.
I think he wears those for almost every single tournament. So it goes, you better wear those for every single tournament, I guess, to be honest. No, that's awesome. Well, it's been fun to see you guys compete. It's been fun to see your success over the course of Warzone.
I mean, like I was saying before, bro, the vibes between us is immaculate. Like, we have a bad game and it just doesn't matter. Like, it's like, all right, that was a bad one, but we know what we're capable of. Like, regain, go again, next map, and you go. Whereas, like, you see a lot of other teams, like, they'll have a bad map, they'll be blaming each other, and like, it kind of breaks down. And once you lose that like bond, I don't know, like the gameplay just goes downhill. Like, but whereas like we've kind of got the advantage that we're like really good friends, and so like the vibe's always good, so we can just regain from things so quick. Like even in game, it's like, all right, we just lost that fight. All right, whatever, we'll win the next one. Like go again, and you'll just see that when you watch us. Like the vibe's always good, like all the time. And even if we don't win, we're still like winning. You know what I mean? Like we're in contention. We're at the top half, and like Warzone's very RNG, so you can't win everything. So just to put yourself in the position that you can be competing and be in the position to win as often as possible is kind of like we're winning every time anyway. Even if we don't win, we're still winning. Like and we're in a good spot.
Before Katie's going to transition us to our last topic for the day, I will say too about the vibes. You know, one of the cool things about you guys is that not only are your vibes been so like just incredibly positive all the way through, but also you recognize that these tournaments are content for like each of you have thriving streams, thriving communities. You know, shout out the Shed Gang that's been in chat. Like they're support. You're not even live on your channel, and they're all coming in here to support you. So like those types of communities are really cool to foster. And what you said about caring about your community over the competition most of the time, unless of course it's like some 150K or something, like you're worrying about them even more so than your own competition, because
sure. I mean, I'm sure Joe and Brett would agree. Like
exactly,
I'm sure Joe and Brett would agree. Like even if we lose it, if we come 5th in a tournament, but like we've all been like having a really good time with our streams. Everyone's enjoyed it. Like at the end of the day, that, you know, tournaments are once every now and then. I mean, with the way Warzone is, like they've been few and far between, like even less tournaments. So like as long as the streams are happy the whole time and enjoying it, like that's the main focus, you know. Like the tournament money's cool, that's great, whatever, but like the main thing is it's a content thing. Like everyone's enjoying it, they like seeing us like bouncing off each other, just having a good time frying. So yeah, even if we lose a tournament, we're still winning. But like yesterday was a perfect example. We hadn't played together in so long because there just hadn't been a tournament. We go in high vibes thinking, hey, we're gonna win this. First game we had 10 points, so like, okay, that's probably our short game, you know, but there's 5 more games. And then after that, we were just banger after banger after banger. And it's like some teams could have gone in, had a bad game and be like, oof. And then like, you know, they have a bad start to the next one. We're like, nah, like, it's like it didn't happen. We drop in the next map. It's a whole new game. And then we were popping off. We were on fire. It was different.
That's amazing, man. That's got to feel good.
Some days you just have those moments where everything seems to click, but this might not click, and I'm curious to know your answer on it. Let's talk about Warzone 2, what we're heading toward. We know it's all on the horizon. I want to know, do you have any hopes for the next map, what Warzone 2 is going to bring? And in particular, I'd love to get your thoughts on a ranked mode, because JoeWo actually had a very interesting take on that he didn't want them.
He didn't want a ranked mode.
Well,
so I'd love to hear.
What was his reason? Well,
hold on. Give your perspective first. We'll talk about you. It wasn't just, oh, no ranked, I don't want that. It was a little bit more in depth than that. But give us your thoughts on Warzone 2 and ranked potentially coming.
Okay, Warzone 2, I mean, I think it's gonna be cool. I mean, like I said, my main thing is my community. You know, the influx of viewers from like a new game is gonna bring a bunch of new faces. I mean, new content. People are gonna enjoy the streams even more, I hope. You know, like it's gonna be fresh. I'll be grinding. I'll be in a good mood. Everyone's gonna love it. You know what I mean? That's my hope. I think the map needs to be a mix between Verdansk and Caldera. Like it needs those cracked out, close buildings that everyone loves, so it's not just getting caught in the open. Because I think that's a lot better for the average player, for sure. Like obviously we're in a spot where me and Brad and Joe, we all have good game knowledge and we can rotate well. But like obviously for the casual player, that's not as good, right? So because they don't play often. Most people just want to get on, play a couple games, and you know, get as late game as they can. You know, maybe pick up a few kills. And Caldera doesn't suit for that at all, which is why it's kind of tough. I think it's got some good features though. Like some of the open out bits, it's good, but you need that mixed in with some of the Verdansk element stuff. So a mix of the two would be cool. And I think a ranked mode would be good. Obviously, not everyone has to play it, right? That's the key point. Not everyone has to play it. But I think it provides incentive for a lot of people to grind, right? Like just senselessly playing the same game over and over and over again becomes a bit, you know, dry. I think that's what a lot of people are feeling now, is that initial spark again. And I think just having something to grind for kind of makes you feel good. It's like that dopamine release. Like, oh, I had a good game. My rank's up. I'm top 1%, 1.5% in the world. It's like, it's an incentive to grind and like something to actually want to improve for, rather than just like, okay, I've played 10 hours a day for the last 3 years and I've just been RPG'd point blank. That guy's as good as me because he has an RPG in his hand. Like it's not competitive, you know what I mean? Like it kind of just feels like, damn, it doesn't matter how good I am, I'm just chalked. Right. So I think a ranked mode would provide a lot of incentive for people to grind and want to get better. But I think you still need to tailor for the casuals and like, you know, just have it be fun to play at face value just in pubs. But the best thing, like if you have a ranked mode, you don't need to have SBMM as cranked. in pubs, right? Because naturally the good players will gravitate towards ranked. And then, you know, you've got your ranked mode with the cracked out SBMM, so you're only playing people your level, and then you can, you know, relax in pubs. And if there's enough people on the game, realistically, there's going to be one good player, if that, in every lobby, right? Like, there's lobbies out there filled with bots, actual bots. Like, I've seen them with my own eyes. I've been in these lobbies. They're unbelievably fun. They're out there, but we're never in them, right? Because, and it's like, there's so many people that are at that level. That's the majority of the player base, right? Like, if you just took a little bit SBMM away, realistically, one me in a lobby isn't going to change it that much. And it's going to be once every now and then. Like, they won't have to play us that much. And I think everyone's going to have more fun that way. That's just how it is.
I agree, though, Gojj. Like, it's like, even if you're us and we're shitters, let's be clear. Like, there are shittier players, but we are not good. But sometimes you just want to get in and just play a game and not have it be a sweat fest the entire time, right? Like, you just want to get in and have fun. Yeah. And at its core, sometimes the SBMM can make that a little bit
difficult. So hard to be a casual player, and now I feel like...
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Caldera is certainly catered towards the sweats, and it makes sense to do that to some degree with the player base kind of declining, but Warzone 2 is going to have to come back out with a banger map, banger servers, ton of new updates, and really try to rope everybody back into the original game.
Here's my hot take. If Caldera dropped the way it is today, when it first dropped, it would have popped like Verdansk did. But like, I think so many people were just like beat down by how many hackers there were at the end of the first map.
Yep.
And like, it was kind of like this light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, don't worry guys, new map's coming, anti-cheat's coming, like just hold on. And then it was like the new map hit, and off the rip, it wasn't great. It was very slow, no balloons, very vertical, couldn't see a thing. Yeah. Like, hackers were still everywhere. And it was like, people were like, all right, well, they're just never going to fix it. Whatever. Like, I'll move on. And it's like, now, if the game came out how it is now, it's like, the lighting's changed, the trees are gone, the hackers are pretty much gone, the balloons make it a lot easier to travel. If it came out today, I think it would have been received like great, but it's just like, because it came out in such a poor state, everyone was like, nah, bro. And now they're either playing Rebirth or Apex.
Yeah.
So, and I think Warzone 2 is going to be that, you know, like that kick, like kind of like when a new COD came out. I mean, new CODs came out every single year for the last 5 years. And they're like, most of them were disappointing for most people, but they still bought them every year. Like, I was the same. I was like, all right, it's fine. The next one's going to be good. Minus 50 pounds again. Here we go. Oh, that sucks. And it's like, but like, there's that loyal fan base of like underlying people that want to play. And I think Warzone 2 is like, it's that same thing. It's like a release. It's like, a new release. It's going to be fresh. Everyone's going to hop on the game. And it just needs to be the case that day one, it's ready. Perfect. Like if they want to have ranked, then it needs to be set up. It can't happen 3 months after. If they have this new anti-cheat, it needs to be day one. The map, it needs to be perfect. Like, it needs to be tested. It needs to be there day one, because that's when you have this opportunity. It's like getting raided on Twitch, bro. If you get raided as a small streamer, you have this amazing opportunity to try and increase your audience. Like, say 2,000 people, you have a chance to take some of them and make them your own viewers, like make them your community. It's like that. They have a day where they get raided, right? Literally by millions of players, like new game, millions of people come on, and they have that chance to hold them, right?
Right.
But if it sucks on the first day, half those people already just gone. Like, they're like, all right, whatever. I'm going to go back to my video game, Apex, whatever the game is. They're like, all right, whatever. That's half of it gone.
No,
it's like when they do that event, bro. That event could have been amazing, right? Everyone comes in, everyone's on 10,000 viewers. Oh my God. And then the event was done in half an hour, 10 minutes, like half an hour later, everyone's viewers were like half.
Yep.
And it's like, you lost that attention span so quick.
Right.
Like, so I think day one, it's got to be perfect. Server's got to be up the whole time. No lag, no cheaters, good map. And then off the rip, and that'll bring that'll bring back so many people.
No, absolutely, because it's not only just like getting rated, it's like, this is like nostalgia, right? Like, Warzone was so massive during obviously COVID and shutdown, and just the amount of players that were competing and playing and having a good time was just astronomical numbers, like nearly unattainable by any title going forward from the BR category, just because of the situation our world was in. And so everybody still has this good feeling about Warzone in the back of their head somewhere, but it's clouded by all of the mess that you were mentioning at the end of Verdansk and at the beginning of Caldera. It's a really, really good point. The big point that we brought up with Joe, and Joe mentioned quite a bit about, was TTK and skill gap, right? The argument really for the ranked mode was, or for or against, was, can you have a ranked mode with a game that doesn't have a very large skill gap? So like, are there...
Well, I mean,
Go ahead. I was gonna say, like, are there ways that you think they should increase the skill gap in the game?
I think the skill gap should stay the way it is now for the casuals, like 100%. Like, yeah, the game should be easy to pick up and just play, right? Like, at the end of the day, as streamers, like, we stand to gain so much more from the game being good for like casuals, because the more people that play, the more people that want to watch. Like, it benefits everyone. Like, you might not like playing it, you might not like getting blown up by an RPG.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, if that makes 100,000 other people want to play it, and then 1,000 of them want to watch you, like, that's great, right?
Sure.
Whatever. Like, deal with it. And then if you want to play competitive, then you have a ranked mode with a separate rule set. That's how I think. Like, ranked should have its own rule set. And that's how you differentiate. Pubs should be very casual, very easy, pick up and play, go, whatever. Like, and then ranked should be a bit more intensive, like no RPG. It's kind of like how the rules we have in our tournaments.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Because like we've kind of taken a game with a very low skill gap and made it more competitive to suit our own needs. And I think ranked should do that. So it has that like that place for people who want to do that to go and do it. And then there's also the safe place.
Yeah.
Where you don't do that.
I like that. I mean, Katie, Joe, I don't know if Joe would agree with that or not, but Joe was essentially saying rank should not exist in Warzone unless the skill gap gets increased. But the other way to mitigate that is arbitrarily increase the skill gap by limiting the amount of weapons that are in there, right? Arbitrarily get rid of
and everything else.
Arbitrarily get rid of some of the RNG.
They really like if they went full Fortnite, right? And they made it customizable rules, right? So that like, like you change the health even. You could change the way the zones pull, like have an algorithm in there so that there's not going to be a zone that is like the plane line's down here, bottom left somewhere, and the zone's all the way over here. Like that's not competitive. That's just terrible. That doesn't play well at all. Like that's in even in pubs that sucks. Like no one wants that. So you could have like a completely different rule set where in ranked it's like usually central zones so the rotations are, and it's like more just keep ramping up the skill level in ranked.
Yep.
And then pubs keep it regular, easy, simple as that.
I wonder if this is also a potential solution when there does seem to be tension sometimes between people who view Warzone and in these events as a content piece and people like yourself who are going to participate in content pieces, but also inherently it is going to be competitive. Some events are more competitive than others based on their format, but there's money on the line, so you are competing for it. So this sounds like, in a way, Gojj, if they were able to implement something like that in Warzone 2 and FIFA, as you said, have maybe some customizable higher level powers when you have these events that you could then delineate and have things that are content, have things that are competitive, and kind of have best of both worlds so that it doesn't feel like they have to butt heads so much.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think like Warzone, the way the tournaments aren't very competitive. Like just in general, like you think pro leagues have the best of the best every time, teams that train all day, every day. Like half of these big, like especially the big money ones, still have people that play the game once a month. They get invited because they have a lot of viewers, like over people that grind all day. Like half the teams in these Twitter tournaments would smoke half the people in the 100Ks. Yeah, like that's not competition.
1,000%.
At the end of the day, it's a content piece. Like there's so much money in these tournaments because there's so many viewers on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's how it is. Like I remember when I first started getting into tournaments, like you wouldn't get to play with who you wanted because a big streamer would like pick you up because they knew you're good. But like there's people out there that had enough viewers and were already good. Their team's always going to beat yours because they're stacked. And it's like the opportunity is fantastic, right? Like as a good player, you get to perform individually and they give you like that spotlight. So like, and that's really the way into the scene, right? Like I know so many people that complain like, oh, this guy picked me up, but I don't really want to play because we're not going to win. Like that's such a bad attitude to have about it. Like they're pulling you into this tournament, you could still do well, like better than expected, right? Like just because you're not going to win doesn't mean you don't just race at all. Like someone has to lose.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
As long as you're like, if you're that confident you could win with a good team, then pop off individually, show people that, and then maybe the teams that can win will pick you up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what you did, right? That's exactly what Z-Smith did as well. Z-Smith was picked up by some bigger streamers early in his career and was dropping like 20 KD days easily in some of the 2v2 kill races and grew to some success now too. So like I totally agree with you. It's a great point too about like CCVs, like concurrent viewers, being one of the main metrics for these large events in order to kind of satiate the sponsors. That's really all they are events, not necessarily competition. I mean, Katie and I talk about it all the time. We've casted good grief, you've played more than this, but we've casted 100 hours of 2v2s in the last 2 months, 2.5 months. I mean, obscene number of hours on broadcast for 2v2s.
You guys are like top 10 earners just off of casting.
Yeah. We're up in the top 10 for sure. But that being said, like, those are 2v2s are events. You're pub slaying. They're fun events and they're competitive, but they're not like, if we were to make a Warzone league, right? If we were to make a pro league for Warzone like ALGS has, it has to be customs, right? And so, I'd be curious to see like what they try to do with that, if they try to do anything with that. This has been such a fun conversation. We are actually well past an hour now, Fifa. I told you 45 minutes, and we're just rocking and rolling past an hour. I am torching your time, but I really appreciate you kind of jumping on and giving us your thoughts. You've been very well spoken and had some really fun conversation points. I want to end with this, Katie. Last question for the day, Fifa. And then I'll give you some time for closing statements if you have anything else. But I know you are with Quadrant right now, correct?
Yeah.
What do you think about the overall landscape of these large CDL orgs picking up players? Do you think that's good thing, bad thing? Think that it has a chance to succeed? Are you interested in potentially swapping out of Quadrant? Not saying Quadrant is doing bad, but like, hey, the CDL teams is the top tier, or it's like, no, I'm really happy with the way Quadrant is doing things over here. Doesn't have to be a CDL org to prop people up.
I mean, I think the more CDL orgs get involved in Warzone players individually increases the likeliness of there being a league, which I think would be good for Warzone. And like all of us as individuals, right? I mean, it's a good bag for obviously a lot of content creators as well.
Yeah.
Like they're chasing the bag. I think that's good. And yeah, I think it's like extra marketing for them, which is always going to be good. I personally I had some offers from some CDL teams when I was like on the market for orgs. I personally I like the IRL side of Quadrant. I actually get to go and meet people and experience the world and do cool things. And I get all the same benefits as I would if I was in a CDL org, right? Like Optic invited us out to their major, and I got to go there as like an invited guest, and like I got to do all the same things I would have done under a CDL org, as well as all the benefits I get from being part of that team. So I mean, I get the best of both worlds, really. I mean, it's definitely not I'm happy where I'm at, but I think it's definitely good for Warzone for the CDL orgs to be getting involved with some of the other guys, for sure.
Great answer.
It makes sense. And Gojj, I'm gonna sneak in one more before we let FIFA go. And I love what he had to say about the CDL orgs, because we teased this on last week's episode, but we do know for a fact, can't name names, but we know for a fact that a Warzone competitor has been signed to an org, so that announcement should be coming out within the next few weeks. We know another one is currently being courted, so we'll see what happens with that. But I gotta ask really quick, you were an up-and-comer, you made it, you're one of the best. Are there any up-and-comers right now, Warzone players, that you think deserve the love, that you think can make it, that you want to shout out?
I mean, there's so many. There's loads. And I do my best to rate as many people as possible, right? But I think if we're just talking like skill level, I think Maapo is like criminally like not. He's definitely one of the best.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't have the eye for the content as much, which is what like holds him back. But he's cracked out. I think Len EU guy, he's cracked out. And then Sage, unbelievable lately. Like I'd say probably out of everyone right now, Sage is the most underrated, like in every way, because like Maapo, everyone knows he's good, right?
Yeah.
I just think he misses out on a lot. But like Sage, I don't even think people rate him as good as he is. He's cracked.
He's nasty.
him and Len would probably be my two most underrated in terms of like skill level to actual recognition, probably.
I just think
those two, they're twisted.
Great answer, great question, Katie. That'll do it for all of us. FIFA, dude, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for spending some time with us tonight. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Any closing thoughts, final things that we didn't ask you, you'd love to say, shout out before we completely close this episode out?
I mean, I think we covered everything, man. It was fun. It was a good chat, man.
Yeah, it was a good chat. No, this has been a blast. Thank you to the Shed Game for hanging out with us again. This podcast will be available on YouTube as soon as tomorrow. It'll be available on all of the audio platforms as soon as tomorrow, Spotify, iTunes, etc. So thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks to Fifakill again for showing up with us, and stay tuned because we got a lot more guests coming onto the podcast. Bot Lobby Podcast is going to continue to excel and going to continue to invite new guests on, as well as bring in some new sponsors potentially coming up for some sponsored segments, which I'm really excited about. So thank you all for everything, and let's shout out Fifakill one more time in the chat and show him a ton of love. I will say, Katie, to finish the episode today, I think we should raid Lennon. Lennon is live of the 3 people, and we're gonna go show Lynn some love. So chat, if you guys will join the raid, that would be fantastic. Oh, screwed up this. There we go. Whoops.
It's okay. Look, you want to have multiple of you. I understand. Look,
I clicked the wrong scene shades. It's all good. That's all we got for the Bot Lobby Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. This was a blast. Please join the raid for Lynn. We got to show Lynn some love. The dude's the goat.
Go show him some love.